Ladies and gentle soars, welcome to Creature Feature, a sister series to Assessing Survival, where we take a closer look at some of the Spec-Evo creatures I've created for the Assessing Survival episodes. Today, we'll be talking about the Nivoraptor. You guys were very much fascinated with the idea of pet dromaeosaurs and had a lot of questions about them. We'll talk about their design, alternate history, as well as their various breeds and color morphs. But before we jump into it, do me a huge favor, drop a like on the video and leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I initially struggled quite a lot coming up with the Spec-Evos for Deinonychus in the Ice Age, as dromaeosaurs already have a pretty unique body shape. I wanted to do something new but not really different from the base body plan. Something small, as the other two Spec-Evos were already larger than the base creature. But they needed a reason to get so small, so when looking for small prey items in Alaska and northern Canada, my first choice was lemmings. Making this animal their preferred prey item would not only give the raptors a reason to get smaller, but also create some unique behavior. Plenty of animals like burrowing owls, European badgers, lionfish, etc. will steal the burrows and nests of other animals. And given the lemmings' habit of burrowing through snow, I thought it would be cool if the Nivoraptors stole but also expanded the burrows of the lemmings that they hunt. I mentioned that Nivoraptors enjoy collecting things like sticks, bones, and shiny rocks. My thinking was that dromaeosaurs, being so similar to birds in many ways, would probably behave in a similar fashion, especially a small dromaeosaur. Many birds like corvids, bowerbirds, and starlings are known to collect brightly colored or reflective objects, either as a way to court mates or just because they find it intriguing to some degree. In terms of their coloration, of course, going with all white was a no-brainer, as they're in a snowy environment. So when brainstorming how to make them stand out, I suddenly remembered this funny little video. This is a rock ptarmigan in its winter coat, and as you can see, they have funny little fleshy red eyebrows. On the ptarmigan, both males and females have these eyebrows. But for the Nivoraptor, I thought it would work better as a way to tell them apart from the females, because I didn't plan on giving these guys variations in their winter and summer coats, which is going to lead us into our next section. So the reason why Nivoraptors have just one year-round coat is because 1, I was in a rush to get the video out before I went on vacation, so I couldn't take the time to design the summer coats. And 2, Nivoraptors, much like snowy owls, will stay in areas with snow during the summer. And this means either moving into northern latitudes or into mountains. Most often the latter, as Nivoraptors are not a migratory species. They will change in coloration a bit though, becoming slightly darker with gray accents, often referred to by experts as a snowshoe coat. Nivoraptors will mate and reproduce at the beginning of winter, which is typically late September or mid-October, depending on the latitude or elevation. They lay anywhere between 3 to 6 eggs in their subnivean burrows, which will only take roughly 28 days to incubate. Once hatched, newly born Nivoraptors will stay in the nest room of the burrow while their parents attend to them for another 45 days. Newborn Nivoraptors are tiny, only 3 inches long head to toe, and for the first 2 weeks, their feathers will be a bright yellow much like ducklings, losing this coloring in favor of white feathers that help them blend in. After this 45-day period, they will be able to join their parents on the surface to hunt, where they will help them hunt larger prey items like marmots, hares, beavers, and sometimes even young foxes. At the beginning of summer, around late or mid-June, the mating pair will create another clutch of eggs, and their offspring from the previous winter will go out on their own, usually taking another winter to reach full maturity. They are also very fast, being able to run on the surface of snow at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, or just shy of 50 kilometers per hour. Their absolute highest speed was recorded when a domestic Nivoraptor was placed on a treadmill, where the Nivoraptor reached 41 miles per hour, though this number is not considered achievable by most individuals. Nivoraptors established themselves in North America during the Middle Pleistocene, but did not cross the Bering Strait while it was frozen over due to a lack of any migratory instinct. When humans crossed over the Bering Strait, they encountered Nivoraptors. They were too fast and too small of an animal for humans to hunt, so for a while they largely didn't interact. But Nivoraptors, being the clever creatures they are, would often visit the perimeter of human camps. After noticing small animals, do the same. Early humans also noticed the Nivoraptors sticking around their camps, but didn't bother to shoo them off because they took care of small nuisance animals. It didn't take long for the humans to start offering Nivoraptors food directly in order to keep them around. These more tame Nivoraptors built burrows closer to human settlements and often brought their hatchlings along to be fed by humans as well. And those hatchlings, when they matured, typically didn't move very far from the human camps either. Over the course of maybe 400 or 500 years, the descendants of those Nivoraptors became fully domesticated, mostly occupying a similar role to cats domesticated in the Middle East around the same time. Though unlike cats, the Nivoraptor takes commands more readily like dogs, and were often taken on hunts with humans in addition to being kept around their homes. Hunting parties may take as many as 6 well-trained Nivoraptors along with them to take down small game. The hunters would reward the raptors for these kills with small bits of cooked mammoth or bison, which they much preferred. Early Native Americans would offer trained Nivoraptors as gifts to other tribes, as they were seen as highly valuable. A well-trained Nivoraptor could easily be traded for a number of bison robes, a month's worth of jerky, or an equally well-trained dog. Nivoraptors were found in the villages of tribes as far south as the Shawnee, which brings us all the way up to the Colonial era, and how the arrival of European settlers changed the Nivoraptor's presence and history significantly. The Nivoraptor as an animal was completely alien to the Europeans. Nothing like them existed in the Old World. European merchants immediately saw the potential and profits from selling and trading these animals. They offered the natives domestic cats in exchange for Nivoraptors, which were much better at the pest control job, but not so great in hunting parties. Often the merchants would have to offer up 2 or more cats or hunting dogs for a single Nivoraptor. In the Old World, they quickly caught on as a high-value exotic pet among nobles and men of wealth, and thus was the beginning of a Nivoraptor pet industry. The pet trade brought Nivoraptors as far east as Japan and as far south as the Ottoman Empire. Back in the Old World, however, Nivoraptors slowly fell out of use among native tribes, not only because of the rapid conquering of the Americas, but because the use of cats and dogs acquired by European merchants became much more widespread than using Nivoraptors, as these animals were more versatile in terms of climate and were simpler to raise and care for, though they still persisted among tribes in Alaska and northern Canada well into the modern day. By the 20th century, Nivoraptors existed in a wild population of roughly 800,000 in both Canada and Alaska. Having spread to Europe and Asia during the colonial period, they established populations in Nordic countries, the Baltics, northern Scotland, and Russia. These invasive Nivoraptors at this point have an estimated wild population of roughly 150,000. By the 21st century, the domestic population of Nivoraptors reached roughly 3 million across the globe, being most common in the United States, the UK, Canada, Germany, Japan, and South Korea. At the beginning of the 20th century, when the field of paleontology was still in its infancy, it didn't take long for paleontologists to discover the correlation between Nivoraptors and dromaeosaurs from over 66 million years ago. Even more perplexing was the discovery of Deinonychus. Deinonychus remains found in Montana were anywhere between 100 to 125 million years old, while Deinonychus remains discovered in northern Canada and Alaska were dated to be only 2 million years old. Along with this came the discovery of transitional species between Deinonychus and Nivoraptor, as well as 2 other species of Pleistocene dromaeosaurs, Cryonychus and Phindactylus. Not only did this lead to a better understanding of how dinosaurs may have looked earlier on, but it also threw the field of paleontology into a mass debate. Some began to dismiss the theory of evolution entirely, and some believed that a few dinosaurs must have persisted far past the Cretaceous. But a select few saw it for what it really was: a true anomaly. Deinonychus didn't belong in the Pleistocene, and these other dromaeosaurs came from a necessary rapid evolution that may have come from being suddenly placed in a new environment. This was a very fringe theory that was looked down upon for decades. That was until another anomalous discovery was made in Hell Creek years later, this time remains of African bush elephants and specialized descendants, just like with the Deinonychus. Again, this pattern repeated in the Morrison Formation, grizzly bears and Eurasian boars in the Jurassic period, massive gorillas and orangutans with spears in Cretaceous North Africa. This was just plain unnatural. Some began to wonder if there was a malicious force behind it. When it was brought to the attention of the US government in 1961, a very Catholic President John F. Kennedy was intrigued with this phenomenon and commissioned the creation of the US Department of Biological Anomalies, an agency of paleontologists and biologists as well as some of the brightest minds in the world to discover the origin of these misplaced animals. Kennedy believed that these anomalies would either 1. Support the idea that the Earth is much younger than the current scientific understanding, therefore leading more people to God, specifically the typically atheist communists. Or 2, the sudden appearance of a species from another era in the modern day could raise concerns about an unknown phenomena or entities capable of manipulating time or biology. Kennedy, aware of the potential implications, established the department as a way to investigate and control these anomalies before they could be exploited by adversaries. But that's enough about that. Let's get back to the cute raptors. The following is a PSA put out by the U.S. National Park Service regarding Nivoraptors in Denali National Park, Alaska.
Hey there folks, my name is Ranger Tad Woodvine and I work as a conservation specialist as well as a wildlife and trail guide here at Denali National Park in the great state of Alaska. And today, I'm here to tell you all about our park's most elusive and adorable residents, Nivoraptor lemoni, better known as the lemminghawks in the lower 48. This here is Klaus. He's an ambassador animal that lives with us at our sanctuary here at the park. When people come to visit our park, seeing a wild lemminghawk is often at the top of their wish list. Nivoraptors are popular pets, and many wish to see them in their native habitat. This is a pretty rare occurrence, as more often than not, they don't go anywhere near our trails or campgrounds. However, if you do cross paths with a lemminghawk, it's important to know the park's rules and federal laws regarding interaction with them. When driving on our roads or riding on the bike and ATV trails, you will notice several Raptor crossing signs that feature the silhouette of a lemmminghawk with two hatchlings. It is crucial that you avoid going over the posted speed limit and watch out for all wildlife, including lemmminghawks, while traversing the park. Not only will speeding get you a ticket, but if it results in the death of a protected species, you could face massive fines and possible criminal charges from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. On rare occasions, lemmminghawks may approach campgrounds in search of food. If one of these animals does come to your campsite, it is important that you do not feed them. This means you cannot approach them with food in hand, toss it towards them, or leave food out for them on purpose. It is also your responsibility to shoo away any lemmminghawks that get into your bags or coolers. We don't want them thinking it's okay to steal food from people. Usually loud noises will do the trick to scare one of these raptors off. But if a lemmminghawk does not respond to your attempts to scare them away, contact the park office or speak to your campground's ranger and they will take further action. It is against the park's rules to touch these animals. While you may have your own pet lemminghawk at home, wild Nivoraptors are not adjusted to interacting with humans and may respond negatively in attempts to touch them. If a lemmminghawk feels cornered, they will not hesitate to use their claws or teeth to defend themselves. These defensive bites or slashes can be quite painful, speaking from experience, and can easily require a trip to the emergency room. Now here's the real important part. Nivoraptors are considered a protected species, and it is a federal felony to steal them or their eggs from the wild. This could land you up to 3 years in jail, or a fine of over $80,000. The severity of these punishments will increase depending on where you take them, and how many state lines you cross before being caught. If you'd like to come meet a Nivoraptor while you're at the park, feel free to come down to our wildlife sanctuary, where you can meet Klaus, alongside lots of other cool ambassador animals of different species. Wally the black bear may be my favorite. Okay, second favorite.
Nivoraptors come in the following color morphs: Cupid, Snowshoe, Duckling, and Melanistic. The Cupid morph was bred to express the red coloration seen in the eyebrows on males throughout the body. They have an intense blood red at the top of their head, which fades into a rosy pink going down to the body, with more brightly colored feathers on their arms and tails. Both males and females can be Cupid morphs, though naturally female Cupid Nivos are most often just pink without the intense red. The Snowshoe morph are Nivos bred to keep their summer coats year-round, giving them a unique boot and glove look that a lot of people find very cute. This is generally the most common type of morph, more common in pet stores than even the base wild type morph. The Duckling morph is a naturally occurring mutation of Nivoraptors who never lose their yellow-colored feathers from their nestling phase. This was never seen in the wild because, as you can imagine, being bright yellow in the snowy tundra wasn't exactly a recipe for survival. These Nivoraptors that never turned white were bred together until their offspring were mostly or entirely yellow throughout adulthood. Then there is the Melanistic morph. This morph is often the result of inbreeding, because even when breeding two melanistic Nivoraptors, there's only about a 20% chance for a resulting hatchling to also be melanistic. Many of them have green eyes, which are believed to be a mutation resulting from excessive inbreeding. Their behavior is often erratic and much different from other Nivoraptors, more like cats than the typical dog or bird-like behavior. They're very antisocial with others of their species and often prefer the attention of one human owner, even then having the tendency to lash out seemingly at random. All these color morphs can be bred together to exhibit unique coloration and patterns, but these are the ones officially recognized by the LHBS, or the Lemming-Hawk Beauty Society, often referred to as the Lemming-Hawk Bullshit Society by many Nivoraptor owners. Then there are the officially recognized breeds: Teacup, XL, Bully, and Thin-Feathered. Teacup Nivoraptors are, as the name suggests, neotenic Nivoraptors that maintain their hatchling size and never develop adult traits. Teacup Nivos are pretty expensive and were bred purely for cosmetic purposes. They fit perfectly in the purses of a rich, middle-aged woman, and are the subject of probably the most intense Nivoraptor accessory marketing. Teacup Nivos are often plagued with health problems like short lifespans, obesity, excessive aggression, various types of cancer, joint issues, cataracts, the list goes on. Breeding of teacup Nivoraptors is banned in most European countries, but still persists in China, Australia, and most US states. Ownership of these Nivoraptors is often frowned upon. XL Nivoraptors are also as their name suggests, Nivoraptors bred to be much larger. Initially, the desire for this breed was for the purpose of utility in hunting. Raptor hunting, despite being niche, was still decently popular, and many hunters saw the benefit of keeping these animals to take down bigger game. They reach about 2 meters or 6.5 feet long, and stand around 2 feet or over half a meter tall. This size allows them to take down animals as large as red stags and mule deer, with the occasional moose takedown being reported. Extra large Nivos are pretty popular as pets because their size allows their owners to cuddle with them without the risk of rolling over and crushing them. Though this is dangerous because XL Nivos whose claws haven't been filed down have accidentally killed their owners in their sleep. Then there is the Bully breed, which were bred from XL Nivos for illegal raptor fights. They have much bulkier, stout heads with strong bites equivalent to that of spotted hyenas. They have larger sickle claws, as well as a generally more muscular build. In the late 20th century, Nivoraptor fighting surpassed the popularity of dog and cockfighting in most illegal animal fighting rings, with bully Nivo breeders as well as trainers making millions a year on average. The US government outlawed this practice along with dogfighting in 1976, but bully Nivos remained popular as pets due to their more rugged look, and were often trained to fulfill guard roles with limited success. As you can imagine, these Nivos are more prone to aggressive behavior, and ownership of them is unfortunately banned in many states, countries, and provinces throughout the world. Thin-feathered Nivoraptors are a breed that were genetically modified in the early 2010s to suppress many of the genes responsible for the growth of feathers, as well as enhance their tolerance to heat and humidity in order to expand the Nivoraptor market to countries with hot or tropical environments. These Nivoraptors maintain feathers on their arms and tails, as well as along the top of their backs and heads, but are otherwise mostly covered in scales and scaly skin like many non-avian dinosaurs. Many people in countries like Australia, China, South Africa, and India could finally own Nivoraptors without the fear of their dinosaur friends dying from respiratory illness or heat stroke. However, many governments quickly either banned or restricted their citizens from acquiring these animals. Nivoraptors of any breed had already been banned in the USSR, as well as the preceding Russian government due to the invasive population in Siberia. New Zealand, the home of many critically endangered species like the tuatara, immediately banned the sale of these animals before they could even reach their shores. Secondly was East African countries like Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique, for similar reasons. Shortly thereafter, countries like Australia, India, China, and many southern US states required licenses as well as home inspections to buy thin-feathered Nivoraptors. All of these breeds and color morphs can be crossbred to create a variety of unique-looking Nivoraptors. If you're curious as to how to take care of your own Nivoraptor, check the description as well as the pinned comment for a link to an official Nivoraptor care sheet. A month or so ago, I asked you guys in the community tab on the channel, as well as the Discord, to submit and draw pictures of your own pet Nivoraptors. And I'm going to close out the first creature feature with a little montage of all the art you guys submitted. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, a big shout out to our patrons, some of which include Fluffy Dino, Lex Gunn, Galactic Narwhal, Green Turret, Tyler Sparks, The Juan Kaiser, Mr. Matt, and Scadu Master. Again, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ta-ta.